What's good, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and we continue to look forward to the NFL draft, which is now only about a week away, and we are very excited because this is the new regime, right? Aaron Glenn, Darren Mosey, really starting to plant their flag and add to the culture and add what we think will be a couple of starters to the 2025 New York Jets. I continue to tell you that there's been a lot of kind of buzz, a lot of kind of rumors out there. If you've been watching all these episodes of Jets Latest, you know firmly what I believe is going to happen. I believe it's going to be an offensive lineman. I believe it's going to be Armand Membu. But we do like to give the other perspectives, right? I talk about mock drafts that have it being Tyler Warren, let's say, of Penn State at the tight end position. There was another mock draft that really came out different than most people, and I did want to talk about that. It was Ryan Wilson over of CBS Sports, and he thinks that at number 7, the Jets could go wide receiver with Tet McMillan. Listen to what he says. He says he's 6'4", moves like a shifty slot receiver, and has the benefit of an enormous catch radius and the ability to make contested catches. Here's the deal. I believe everything Ryan Wilson had to say. I agree with that. Tet McMillan is a stud, and I think he's going to have a very good rookie year and be a good wide receiver at the NFL level. I mean, he was an All-American wide receiver, the number 1 wide receiver on the board in most people's opinion, depending on what you talk about with Travis Hunter, if he's going to play wide out at this level. The catch radius is certainly there. 85 catches last year, over 3,400 receiving yards in his career at Arizona. And in one game against New Mexico last year, he had 304 receiving yards. Obviously, that is a stud. Here's the thing, especially with the Jets bringing back Lazard, with them signing Josh Reynolds, with them signing Tyler Johnson, I just do not think wide receiver is the need, and neither do the sports books. I tell you all the time to follow the money, right? And it looks like the sports books agree with me. Offensive line is the favorite for the Jets to draft with their first round pick at -130. Then the tight end position at +330. That's all the respect to the idea and the notions that Tyler Warren could be the pick at number 7. And then you see another position I have been talking about. Defensive line is the third choice now at 7-1. Wide receiver has fallen back a little bit, and I think that is due to the signings of Lazard, Reynolds, and of course Tyler Johnson as well. But here's the deal. I have been talking about how when the wide receiver room kind of got checked off that, defensive line has become a little bit more of a need. I have been talking about it all week long. Derek Harmon out of Oregon. We talked about Mason Graham. We talked about Darius Alexander out of Toledo. And there is another defensive lineman to put in the spotlight that could be had by the Jets, maybe not in the first round, but potentially in the second round. And it is Tyleik Williams out of, interestingly enough, Ohio State. Could he be an option for the Jets at number 42 overall? 6'3", 334 pounds. So he is more of a pure run stuffer, right? Kind of clog the middle there, unlike some of the other defensive line prospects we've talked about, unlike kind of Byron Cowart as well, some of the defensive linemen that we have signed in free agency. This is more like the Derek Nottie of Kansas City that we brought in, a pure run stuffer. And I think that is good, especially when you have him next to Quinnen Williams, right? Quinnen Williams is your Pro Bowler defensive lineman anyway. Quinnen Williams is the one that's going to push the pocket and get pressure on the quarterback. But Williams was really good against the run at Ohio State. 8 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, even when he missed 3 games for the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes, right? So that run stuffer could be there for the Jets at number 42. Overall, he's talked about as having like good gap discipline. He's talked about as kind of really being nimble on his feet for a guy that has that kind of size at 334 pounds. And remember, when Justin Fields is here, we talked about how they're bringing all the Buckeyes back together, right? Obviously, Garrett Wilson, the center Josh Myers, the tight end Jeremy Ruckert we have been talking about. This would be another Buckeye, just like the Knicks are now the Villanova Knicks. I keep on talking about the potential for the Jets to be like Ohio State pro level. So it is interesting that maybe another Ohio State Buckeye could be in the fold at number 42. And we'll see. I think it's really about supply and demand at 42. All right? I think it's going to be tight end and defensive line that they need to consider. And if they like a tight end, like let's say Williams is there, or let's say Walter Nolan from Ole Miss is there, or Harmon, who we've talked about before, and they still have guys like Mason Taylor, guys like Terrence Ferguson, guys like Elijah Arroyo, right? And there's still a supply of tight ends, then maybe they do push tight end to round 3. But if, Loveland is gone and Ferguson is gone and Taylor is gone, then maybe, with the defensive lineman still there, then maybe they pounce on the tight end in round 2. I think it's purely going to be a question of supply and demand. Whenever they get a new tight end, though, it will be up to the new offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrand, to figure out how to do it all, how to call plays, and what to do with the new quarterback, Justin Fields. And this is interesting. We haven't talked about Engstrand much on Jets Latest, but I want to give you a little bit of backstory, a little bit of history for him. He was part of the offensive staff in Detroit. All right, so Aaron Glenn brought him over from Detroit to kind of be the offensive coordinator. Now, you remember the offensive coordinator in Detroit last year and for the last couple of years was Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson was thought to be like one of these kind of creative minds, new hot whiz kids, and he got the job to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears, right? But even Ben Johnson has said that Tanner Engstrand was really pivotal. Listen, Ben Johnson said, quote, he was integral for one of the best offenses in the NFL, the Detroit Lions, that he was leaned on heavily by Ben Johnson. And he said that AG, Aaron Glenn, quote unquote, got a good one. So there is kind of vote of confidence and faith there. It is Engstrand's first time being an offensive coordinator. However, he does have 8 years of play calling experience, mostly at the college level, where he was kind of a disciple almost of Jim Harbaugh, all right? Was with Harbaugh at San Diego, was with Harbaugh, which a good offense in University of San Diego, was known as a high-powered offense, even for a lower conference kind of team. Was also with Harbaugh at Michigan as well. His roots are in the kind of West Coast system, the West Coast offense, and Engstrand got a lot of credit for working directly with Jared Goff. And remember how I've been talking about these quarterbacks that now are in their second act and kind of really take a step up, whether it's Baker Mayfield, we see it with Sam Darnold, we saw it with Jared Goff, and I believe that could be the case for Justin Fields. Well, Engstrand has that experience doing that, kind of rebuilding the confidence, working with a quarterback in their second act to kind of be much better than with the team that originally drafted them in the top 10 overall, like was the case with Goff, Baker, Sam Darnold, even Geno Smith to a lesser extent, right? So the other thing I will say is that Engstrand is known for kind of working with what he has, tailor-making a scheme and offense to fit around the players. Unlike in Pittsburgh when Justin Fields was with Arthur Smith and he was kind of antiquated in what he would do, I think this kind of new, brilliant, sharp mind will be great for Justin Fields. There'll be some creativity, and honestly, most people in the industry, in the football circles, think that Engstrand was a good hire with kind of, upside and kind of one of these younger guys that could really be good as an offensive coordinator. And the thing is, it is his first time being an offensive coordinator, but he does have 8 years of play calling experience, and I think that is very, very important here as the new offensive coordinator for the Jets. So that'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. Remember, the odds now continue to suggest that I am correct here. Offensive line and then tight end and defensive line seem to be the clear positions of need that are coming into focus here for about a week away when we're at the NFL draft. Tyleik Williams is another defensive lineman that could be there, but obviously we are basically meeting with all of the top defensive line prospects: Mason Graham, Derek Harmon, Tyleik Williams, Darius Alexander. All of them have had time with the Jets, so we are really doing our due diligence on the defensive line. And that's why I think it's going to be supply and demand when it comes to tight end and the defensive line. And then listen, we're building that culture. And remember how Aaron Glenn said he wants to get the right people? Well, Tanner Engstrand is one of those right people that he saw in Detroit, saw his creativity. That Detroit offense was easily one of the best in football, scoring 30 points a game, and with some creative plays, right? The hook and ladder, the pretend you fall play action. They were really doing it with the kind of weapons that they had, and the Jets are looking to build that here, and Tanner Engstrand will have a big say in what this looks like with Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson, the free agent signings, and a new offensive line that I think will get a right tackle to complete the picture in about a week at number 7 overall. Remember, watch this video, like this video, subscribe to the Jets Latest so you get a notification and understand every single time we go ahead and drop a new video so you can get the latest on the Jets, Jets. And of course, remember, me, Dane Martinez, the Spittin' Statistician. I am also the host of the FTN Fantasy Show. Over on Sirius XM, Channel 87, the Fantasy Channel, we talk everything. Fantasy, betting, whether it's the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA playoffs are going on. We talk golf, we talk DFS, whatever you need to win your leagues and win that cash. You could also hit me up on Twitter or X at Spittin' Speeds. I love it when you guys comment. I like to engage with you. Let me know what we can do, but we will be back with more Jets Latest as we are getting very close to the NFL Draft. Remember, number 7, number 42, number 73, and even number 110. We're dropping starters into this competitive new culture for the green and white. That'll do it for this episode. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Jets Latest. We out of here. Peace.